That's my drunk monkey, though.
So write that down. Why do you think that they might not want to hear from you?
And you guys, when you've written it down, just call it out. Like,
Yeah.
Let's hear it. What was, give us one thing.
Anybody?
They don't want to pay sales commission.
They don't want to pay sales
commission. Absolutely.
I think they could do it, save money, and do it on their own.
Yep, 100%. That's a great objection. What else?
Dozens of other agents are bugging them too.
Yes, they're getting inundated with calls, right? Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? All right, those are two really good ones. We hear a lot like, well, the market's so hot right now. Why would we even use a real estate agent? Right? We can sell it on our own in a day. Why would we use you?
Finding a buyer is easy.
Right. So that's another one that we hear consistently. Anything that you can think of that you?
My drunk monkey, it was all about me. It wasn't about them. It was like, how come, why should I call them? Like they won't take me seriously. That was my drunk monkey personally. So, yeah. So write down whatever it is, whatever your limiting beliefs are. So these are great objections, but I want you to take it a little bit deeper than that. So we can talk about overcoming each of those objections. Like, for example, my favorite thing to do when people said, when I would call an expired listing and they would say, 25 Keller Williams agents already called me today.
Yes.
I would say to them, and this is my favorite thing, well, that's awesome. There's 2,000 real estate agents in our local area, and 25 of them are doing their job. Don't you want to choose one that's doing its job? Like, you've got that's a value add. Like, if you're calling them along with 25 other agents, and those are the only agents in the area that are actually working, you're already on a list in their mind.
And my objection when people would tell me that people are hearing the phone calls all the time, I would say, oh my gosh, I'm sure, because you've got a wonderful property. Give me 15 minutes to sit with you and I'll tell you how we can make the phone stop ringing.
Yeah, I can tell you how to make that stop. That's like a number one script. Yeah.
So you can list it with me and your phone's going to stop ringing. You don't have to deal with that. So those are two different approaches to take that are both equally successful depending on who you're talking to on the other line, right?
Mm-hmm. So we're going to get to the objection handling and the script work at the end of our class, like toward the second half. But I want, like I was saying, someone start calling out something more personal, like, what is it that's stopping you? So forget about what's stopping them from calling you. Mm-hmm. What is it that's stopping you from calling them?
Fear of rejection.
Yes.
Yeah, fear of rejection, number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't yell at me.
Also possible. Yes. Right.
Or they're gonna yell.
Yeah.
You don't want to get yelled at.
Could definitely happen.
That's awesome. Yeah, it could happen, or they could just hang up on you, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fear. You have to be unattached to that outcome, right? So like you can see here, like unattached to the outcome is super important because ultimately, if you get that kind of response, they're not the kind of people you want to work with anyway. Yeah. Respectfully, right? So it's a quick, like, okay, you have so many for sale by owners and expireds to touch. You're going to hit some that are going to be grateful for your call, even if they have objections, and you're going to have an opportunity there, right? So if it's a hard no, or it doesn't feel aligned with you because of the way they're acting and behaving, hang up and move on. Mm-hmm. You got to let it roll off your back and don't take it personally.
We use the phrase go for no. Has anybody read that book or heard of that phrase before? Go for no. It's yeah. I mean, it's going to happen, right? There are going to be people who say no to you all day, every day. That's great. The more no's you hear, the more yeses you'll hear. Because if you're not hearing any no's, you're definitely not hearing yeses, right? I mean, you've got to hear a few no's along the way. So go for no. That's what we say all the time. Go for no.
You're going to get a lot more no's, obviously, than you get yeses.
Being unattached to that is the key to success. You just keep calling. So, what?
I have a spreadsheet that has 100 no's on it. And I think if they can get 100 no's before they get a yes, they should get a prize.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's
Go for it.
aggressive. Yeah, you guys, listen, you're gonna have to do some chest bumping. Like, you should do it all in the same room. I'm telling you,
That's true.
we had a quote board in our office where people would write the things that people said to them, just because you have to laugh, right? You've got to laugh through it, otherwise it can be really painful. But some of the things that we heard, holy cow, yeah, it was aggressive. It was aggressive, and we're not calling them because we want to sell them knives, right? We're calling them because we know we can help them make more money, right?
Yeah.
So we have a service to provide them and an obligation, because we are an expert in our field. It's our obligation to educate people who don't understand the process. And what it tends to be is that for sale by owners, that's the case. They don't understand the process. They don't see a value. They don't want to pay a commission because they don't understand what it takes. Right.
So with the expireds, we don't often have that fear of rejection necessarily, because we've already overcome the fact that they're willing to pay an agent. So that's the number one objection with the for sale by owner, is that they don't want to pay an agent. With an expired listing, and they go hand in hand really, but they've already overcome that. So they already said they're willing to pay an agent. They've already listed. So what would stop you from calling an expired listing? Because that fear of rejection might not necessarily be as strong with an expired listing as it is with a for sale by owner. Is there something different with an expired listing that's stopping you from calling?
Well, the first thing you have to do is say, the agent before couldn't sell the house. What makes you think you can do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
They tend to be disappointed with the experience they had with a previous agent. Their house didn't sell. That's our job, right? So if it was a 3-month agreement, a 6-month agreement, and a year-long agreement, and that house didn't sell, it's one of two things. The agent didn't do a good job, or the seller was maybe a little delusional on the value of their home and maybe had offers but continued to reject them because they weren't getting a particular price. So that's when you have to go into really qualifying that person that you're talking to at a high level to find out the root of where it all stems from. So that's the number one for sure. What else, you guys?
You have to tell them how you're different. You're gonna do different.
Now, when you're on the phone with somebody, and I'm curious to see what you guys think, when you're on the phone with someone, do you feel that that is the time that you should dive in deeper in conversation? Or do you feel it's more appropriate to be doing that face to face? Any of you that have had any experience with expireds or for sale by owners? Anyone have an opinion on that or a thought around that? What you might think would be the better approach?
I would say in person. Did you hear that?
Mhm.
Yeah, the person.
In person, yeah.
Um,
So when you're on the phone, the intention, you guys, and this is so important with for sale by owners and expireds both, is to set the appointment, right? You're not going to build a relationship that is going to give you an opportunity to handle someone's largest assets on the phone. It's not going to happen. You need to have that face-to-face interaction. So understand that when you are communicating and starting to get to know people and qualifying them, the intention is around getting your foot in the door. Once you have your foot in the door,
get off the phone.
yeah, that's it. Stop talking. Because as quickly as you can talk yourself into the appointment, you can talk yourself out of it. So you don't need to give too much information. People start glazing over on the other end.
Let's talk about really quickly, does everybody here on this call know with clarity what their why is? What is your why? Do you know why you're in real estate? Have you thought about it? Have you put it to words? Have you put it into writing? Do you know? Do you have clarity around that? What is your why?
Yeah.
Okay, so for a second, on a blank sheet of paper, write down 3 different columns. The first column is going to be, what is KW's value proposition? What makes them different? Okay, why are they the best company to list with? The second column is going to be, focused on your why. Why are you different? What makes you the best agent to work with?
This helps with your self-image, right? So really honing in on that.
And then in the third column, we're going to work together to merge both of those columns so that you can have a very clear value proposition for yourself. So that if you're talking to an expired and they say, well, Sarah couldn't sell my house, what makes you think you can? You can say, boom, here's my value proposition in one sentence. Let me come meet you and see your house so that I can tell you more about that.
For the record, no one would ever say that to you, just so you know.
That's funny.
You're not gonna hear that one, but
Some other Sarah.
just an example.
other Sarah.
Yeah, just an example. Yeah.
So let's work on this together. What are some of the things that you wrote down in the KW? What KW bring? What did you write down in that column?
Number one brand. Did you hear that?
Number one brand.
What makes it number one?
Size.
Size. Yep, you got the biggest network. What was that, Brett?
Brand recognition.
Oh, yep.
He's muted.
He's in the back of the room, so I told him he needs to turn his mic on.
I got
Yeah.
him. I unmuted him. He's good. Go ahead, Brett.
It was already said.
Ooh.
That was kind of fun for a minute. Yeah.
I want to stay muted. Just talk louder.
So the brand recognition, there's a lot of cool things about KW though. Like they have the neighborhood, we're not at KW anymore, but I'm kind of trying to keep up with things. So they have the neighborhood watch, right? So where you can put their email addresses into a specific neighborhood and they get updates. Is that right? What is it called?
Yeah.
That's inside of Command.
Yeah. I think it's just called neighborhoods.
Yeah. So if you have a listing with in a specific neighborhood, you can put the whole rest of the neighborhood in that group, and then they're getting updates about your listing as well, right? So it all ties together. But what other cool, I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff at KW that makes them different from every ABCD other company out there.
I mean, you're the number one real estate company in the world, right? Let's talk about that.
Our training.
Technology,
Yes.
Technology is key.
technology based.
Yep. And they're leaders in the industry from a technology standpoint. And we know, here's a fun fact, that 87% of buyers are finding their homes online. 87%. So being technologically based, that being something that you guys can pride yourselves in being at KW, that is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Training base was what somebody else said.
Yeah, and training based is good, but it's for sale by owner isn't really gonna care.
Or an expired. Oh, how about the thing where you put the listing on Facebook and then whoever clicks on it, you get their name and phone number? Right?
What is
Oh,
that?
yeah.
That's
That's
new. It's a new
that's
thing that KW has.
Yeah. Yeah.
Through Command. So you could put your listing up and then you literally could find buyers for the house, which like
Nobody
Berkshire
does.
Hathaway and Coldwell Banker, they don't do that. They don't have that.
Yeah.
What else? I'm trying to think of some other.
Yeah, your network of agents, obviously, that's huge.
The referral
You know,
network. Yeah.
The KWLS, the international listing service for those that might be moving back from overseas,
Yeah.
which is, you know, independent of Zillow and all of those things.
right. So those are some really big ones, you guys. And then if you have anything locally specific to your office that you do, or, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. So now let's talk about your own specific why. What is your why? Does anyone want to share that? Why they're in real estate? What's driving them?
Travel.
You want to travel?
Okay.
Where do you want to travel?
Well, first week of April, I'm gonna be in Key West, Florida, for starters.
Okay, cool.
Nice. So this part in your why, you guys, it's so important that you are specific. Like, this is how detailed you need to be. when you're visioning what you're looking for and what your why is, you need to know down to like the shoes you're putting on in the morning on a day of what it looks like when you have really achieved your why, right? And you're pouring into your why. Like for me, I'm a single mom. My daughter is my world. Our family is my world. So I'm all about setting her up with the best life possible. But what does that life look like, right? It's easy to say that, but to be able to vision, like have those moments of the details of what that life looks like, what it's like that I'm making breakfast for her in the morning and what the day looks like. And, you know, you need to be able to get very detailed with your why. So the Key West trip, I'm sure you can picture what some of that is going to look like, but what's it going to feel like when you book your trip to the location that you've been dreaming of going to, right?
That's pretty good because I've already done it. Everything's done. All I got to do is go, my wife and I. We're ready.
Okay, so
You need a bigger why.
you need a bigger why for sure.
You need your next one.
Next trip to US.
Europe.
Yeah.
So there you go.
So
Me.
listen, your why is going to be particularly, that will affect your mindset, because when you go to talk to these sellers, you're going to be like, hey, I'm the traveling guy. Like, you got it going on, right? Like, how many other people have traveled to these places through their career, right? You have. And so that is a confidence builder, should be a confidence builder for you when you're talking to people. What else is driving you? The desire to travel is good. What else is there?
To get passive income, so you can just wake up, go to the mailbox and have a check.
There you go. Yeah, no, that's a great one though. It
Who
is.
doesn't like that?
It is. So what does
For
it
me,
look
it's
like
paying
to
for college.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. What does it look like for you to get to that why, right? Like if you want to have passive income, what does that mean? What are you doing that's generating passive income? Do you have a team that's working with you? Do you, right? So get detailed about that.
Trying to start a family flipping business.
Okay.
My brother has bought a home, but he's going to rent it. We're not going to flip it. But yeah, get into the family flipping business so we can all go on vacation together, you know, have passive income to pass on to our children.
There you go. So you want to build a legacy.
Yeah, build a legacy for our family.
There you go. See how you just went a little bit deeper and it becomes a more clear image? So that stuff you should be writing down and looking at, you know, keep it front of mind. Anybody else want to share? Okay, all right.
I'm trying to create a new legacy. Coming from an IT background where I used to be the 9 to 5 or 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week, 20 years doing computer stuff, only to find my 401k is jumping all over the place, and every time it drops, I need to work 10 more years to make it up. This gives you control of your life, and it's still work. I mean, the real estate agent side is not passive by any means, but the investing side is. I'm going the investing route as well. And marrying a career to that makes sense to help learn this side of the world. And
Yeah.
Right. That's amazing.
So take that, what you just said specifically, how can you use that? That's what's driving you. How can you use it to help you stand apart from everybody else? So you've got all of this computer background. That's going to make you especially technologically savvy if you're just studying the certain things that we're offering through Command, right? So you can really use that to your benefit. What are some other things? So this is all a part of your value proposition. So you know what sets KW apart. Now we're working on what sets you apart. So that's largely based on what you've already been through in your life and what you've experienced. So what else is there that's setting you apart? And everyone's will be different, right? For me, my why comes strictly from, I thought it was my children, right? So when I first did this with my coach, my why was to have happy children. And she was like, you got to go a little bit deeper than that. Everybody wants happy children. And I was like, okay. So what does happy mean, right? I want them to be confident, successful, content, you know, I want them to travel, I want them to have friends. So we itemized it all out. Okay, so why is that important? Well, because then I know I've done my job as a mom, right? So that's my number one job. I'm a mom, I have 4 kids. So why is it important that I've done my job as a mom? Because like that's the job that God gave me, right? So now all of a sudden I'm realizing maybe it's not so much about my kids, maybe it's about my respect or faith in God, right? Like, okay, well, so my desire to be a really good mom comes from my gratitude that I am a mom, right? And so now it's about, well, God gave me these kids, and to serve him, I'm going to make sure that they have a good, happy, successful life, right? That's my goal. So really my why is driven from gratitude and faith in God. So when I coupled that with what I was offering through KW, it was like, boom, it was unstoppable. You couldn't stop me, right? I'm here by the grace of God, serving God to help you find a house. Like, so, like, I'm a vehicle for these people to get their house sold, which is awesome. So when I shifted my mindset to be like, I want my kids to have a happy life, which means I need to make money so that we can travel and they can play all their sports and stuff. When I shifted my mindset from that into, I'm going to help this for sale by owner sell their house so they can step forward to the next part of their life because I'm a servant of God. Like, how can you stop that, right? So that was me. But for everybody, it's different. So it's really important that you dive deep into your why to figure out what is actually driving you, because that's where your value proposition lies. And when you find that, your confidence level can't be matched.
So if you guys haven't poured time into doing that yet, after this class, sometime this week, take the time to just sit with yourself and really think through that. And if you need help digging deeper and being challenged to dig deeper, you can reach out to us. We'll jump on a call with you and we'll walk you through identifying your why. Because 9 times out of 10, when we work with people on that, they stop like 6 layers before their real why is identified. So just understand like that it's really important in your success with putting yourself out there and being vulnerable, which essentially has everything to do with for sale by owners and expireds. These aren't people in your database that you know. These aren't people calling you for help. These are really sticking your head out there and being vulnerable and going for it, knowing you're going to be rejected over and over again. Yeah. So having that core identification with this is my why, there isn't anything that can stop me from achieving my why. And again, like Kristen said, that self-confidence is just going to ooze. Like I said, oh yeah, you're not going to get a call you're not going to hear from an expired that, oh, Sarah, yeah, she didn't sell my house. But that's because I know, like, that's not going to happen, because I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that sale happen for those people, because I know it's going to serve the greater good and also serve my why. So
your homework from this section of our class is to get with Misty and work deep on diving into your why so that you can complete your value proposition. And it should be, when you find your value proposition, it should be like a 1-2 sentence, 1-2 punch, right? Like one sentence that this is why I'm unstoppable, go, right? So we're gonna move forward a little bit and talk about for sale by owners and expireds. Sarah just said something that is true. Like, you're really sticking your neck out there with these guys, but also they're like sitting ducks. So if you consider the fact that we already know they want to sell their house,
yep,
whether it's a for sale by owner or an expired, they already put themselves out there. So we know that we offer a service and we know that they need our service, right? So you're going to hear no 1,000 times, but also if it's a good match, you're going to hear yes. So it's about struggling to keep that right mindset, that you are serving them and that you have what they need. So it's listening with intention, not how you're going to respond to them, but what do they really need? So we're going to role play this a little bit toward the end. We're going to hit on some main points first, and then we'll really get into like taking 5 or 10 minutes for each different scenario to role play. Is there anything else about this specific getting your mind right topic that we should say before we move on?
No, I think we covered everything. Is everybody good? Does anyone have any questions about that? Not understand any of that? You see the importance of that? Okay, good. So yeah, so let's dive into this next part here. And this is where we really, yeah, I mean, there's 6 steps, you guys, essentially to for sale by owners. And we're gonna break them down for you. They include, oh, my parking. Sorry, alarm. I gotta go update my parking ticket. So let's talk about that. We talked about getting your mind right. Now let's talk about, that was number 1. The next step is getting your words right.
So
Okay.
knowing what to say once you're confident enough to make the call. So we have bold scripts. The bold scripts are great. If you don't have the Maps app on your phone, you can download that. The scripts are right there inside of the app. It's free. But also you all have access to the locker room scripts. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so in your toolkit inside of TLR Core, the scripts, and it's I think we have it actually has its own folder. I'll share my screen. I'll get into Core for you and show you where to find it. But there are scripts specifically for FSBOs and expireds, and reading those and practicing them, even if you're just saying it out loud in the mirror to yourself, it's great to have a partner to practice them with, but hearing yourself say it over and over and over again, that's where the bread and butter is. So it's just knowing what to say when you're ready to say it.
I tell people that I coach you guys to record, do a voice memo of themselves, saying the scripts over and over. The intention of a script isn't that you memorize it and you know it inside and out, because the reality of it is a conversation is going to organically take twists and turns. So there's no script for a conversation. The intention behind the script is to give you ammo to stay on track so that you're purposeful with your time. It also helps you so there isn't a lull in the conversation and you're asking intentional questions that are going to lead to information to help you close the sale with somebody, right? To get them under contract. So that's the intention.
It's the way that a sports team, for example, let's say the Super Bowl. Well, the two
Chiefs.
Jeez!
You're hitting home now.
So the two teams are going to watch their last probably 10 games of the other team, right? They're going to see, what does the other team do? What are their plays? What are they known for? What's their secret sauce? They're going to try to figure it out so that they can overcome that and play some different plays. They're also going to watch their previous games back so that they can see where they messed up, or like plays that they've practiced, maybe why they didn't work. And so it's the same way that a team plays back their games. You need to be playing back your scripts. And so when I say it out loud, it's because when we have quiet time, like whether it's in the car, in the shower, you're like 5 minutes before you fall asleep in bed, often our mind is running through the things that we have said, right? Our own voice. And so if you say it out loud, your mind registers that in a different way than if you just read it over and over. If you're just reading it over and over, that's not the same as rewatching the actual game, right? So you can record it. You can record yourself on your phone. You can record yourself on Zoom. You can just record your voice. It doesn't matter. It could be a video, voice, whatever, but just so that you can watch it back to see how you need to shift. And so right now we're going to practice, because body language and tonality do make up 80% of someone's impression of you. So we're going to use the example, I saw you last night. And so I don't know if any of you ever did this, like in college or in school or whatever. I did this. I was a theater minor, so we did this all the time. But if you take a simple sentence and you emphasize different words in the sentence, even though it's the same sentence, it has a different meaning. So I saw you last night.
Before you start, can you pull down the slideshow and put your faces back on our big screen?
Yeah.
Sure.
because then they can watch you as well as hear you.
Oh yeah, hang on a minute.
They can see you, I think, on their computers, but not everybody has their computer logged in. So then now,
Oh, yes,
now
got
you're
it.
on the screen.
Okay. So if we take the sentence, I saw you last night, and I say, I saw you last night,
Uh-oh.
that means Sarah didn't see you last night, I did, right? But if we take the sentence, I saw you last night, and I say, I saw you last night, like I saw you.
I saw what you were doing.
I didn't hear you,
Yeah.
I saw you. Okay, so it has a different meaning. Or if I say, I saw you last night, it's like, I didn't see Sarah, I saw you, right? I saw you last night. I didn't see you 2 nights ago, I saw you last night. So it has a different meaning when you put the emphasis on each different word. It has a different, like subliminal meaning, right? So when you're reading through these scripts that we're going to practice, if you're not putting the emphasis on the right word, the things that you're saying could almost be offensive and you might not even know it. That's why it's so important to practice. So you guys pair up right now and just practice saying, I saw you last night 5 different ways with each other so that you can kind of understand how it feels to put emphasis on different words and how it sounds.
So it's awkward.
It's awkward.
Yeah.
We got twos and twos and twos.
2s and 2s, 2 by 2.
How do you want? Saw you last night.
I saw you.
I saw you.
Nobody saw me last night.
Saw. No, I saw you.
Saw you last night.
Yeah.
You.
Now they're getting angry with each other.
I know, I can hear it.
I saw you
All
last
how you
night.
emphasize that word. Yeah. So as important as it is to stress a word, to make a point, you guys, it's equally as important that your body language mimics one another. So that's the other thing that we want to practice. So you're at Keller Williams. Raise your hand if you've heard mirror and match. You heard that statement? Okay. So you're all familiar with it. Mirror and match, mirror and match. It is such a real, like, an important tactic to use in sales because subconsciously you are engaging with the person without words and meeting them where they are. Okay. So we don't even realize that how much of an impact that has until you start doing it and like actively and consciously making the choice to do it. So if Kristen and I are having a conversation, go ahead.
What do
you want me to go
do?
first?
I don't know.
Okay.
we just mirror and match like
Yeah,
automatically.
I know. Oh,
Okay,
shoot.
so what?
Okay, so you start moving your body around different ways and just tell me about, so I'm really interested in listing your house. And I have a couple thoughts around it. Have you even considered listing it with an agent before?
No.
All right, you're moving too fast and way too intense. Head shake? What is that?
I wanted you to mirror and match. I just want to see what you do. How would you mirror and match if it's a crazy?
I would just watch that one.
I'd be
Take
like,
that.
yeah, never mind.
Take a sip of water.
Woo! Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So-
So you did a good job.
I know, I did, but keep going.
Oh. Mhm.
All right, so I'd love to talk to you about, have you considered working with an agent before in the past?
Oh, no.
No? What makes you, why? Can you tell me a little bit why?
Real estate agents are greedy.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, unfortunately, that can be the case in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what other objections you have to, like, what if I told you I could help you make, more than you profit more than you would if you sold it on your own?
I probably wouldn't believe you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, see how my body is moving with hers, but it's not directly same moment, same instance, the head shake. You can leave some things out. They pick their nose. Don't pick your nose.
I was
We don't
going to
have
do that.
You were?
I was.
See,
I
don't go to that degree, okay? Because then it's too obvious. We lose the subconscious connection. They're going to be freaked out, right? So understand that like you slowly engage, you slowly do this. Kristen was moving real fast at the beginning. I'm like, But normal
Busy.
people
Mhm.
move at a normal pace, and there's slight adjustments that they make in their chair, and they'll lean back, they'll lean in. Most of the time what you get from people is they are hesitant, they don't know you yet, so we're guarded, right? We have our bubble that surrounds us. What you'll find is when you ask a question, the more you listen, the more they're going to open up and start getting comfortable and leaning in and be a little bit more, what's the word, animated in the conversation, not as stiff. So you want them to feel comfortable in leaning into you, and so you lean in too, right? Slowly, different ways, whatever it looks like.
If you're at somebody's house and they're not warming up to you, the best thing to do, if you're like, oh my gosh, they won't, if they don't uncross their arms, they're like not, this is the number one sign, right? Like they're guarded, their arms are crossed.
Yep.
Ask them to show you something. Show me the improvement that you made in the bathroom, or show me what you did in the kitchen over there. You know, if they get up and move around, it's an immediate icebreaker.
The other thing to do with for sale by owners and expireds, if you get your foot in the door, you guys, or when, we're going to say when you get your foot in the door, if you're still feeling that guardedness, the soul to the house is the kitchen. Okay, so you might end up in the living room sitting down. Figure out a way to get back to the kitchen. I can't tell you 9 out of 10 times any for sale by owner that has turned into a listing for myself and our team has been strictly because I believe we ended up bringing it back to the kitchen and really having like authentic conversation. It's the soul of a house. So maybe ask, you know what, I just want to check out something with your appliances again. Do you mind if we go back to the kitchen? Or
ask for a cup of water.
Exactly.
That's like a tale as old as time trick.
Yep. End yourself every time in the kitchen. All right, so body language, the tonality, you know, tonality, you guys, the way you say something, what is the number? 92 or 96? I don't know, I'll look it up and we'll send it to Misty, but percent. Okay, listen to this. When you say something with confidence, the person on the receiving end, here it is, we're gonna say 92% of people hearing the information that you're delivering with confidence are going to believe what you say, even if they have no idea.
If you say it with confidence.
So stating things in confidence, you know, your body language, your tonality, and again, that portion of the why is so important is because it builds confidence, and when you deliver in confidence, people are going to believe you.
My screen won't work.
I'm not entirely sure. Go back to the slideshow.
I am trying.
So we'll get you that exact statistic, but that's really important to know and very powerful when you're walking into a for sale by owner or an expired, or getting on the phone to call for sale by owners and expired. The way in which you exude confidence is going to directly impact whether or not you get the appointment or get the listing.
Okay, so let's talk about getting face-to-face, since we kind of skipped that step. We went straight from calling and then all of a sudden we're in the house, which probably is my fault. But let's talk about how to get face-to-face. So I know door knocking is number one. So if you've got it, can you guys see us or can you only see the slideshow again?
Slideshow.
All right, so
Can you do a split screen?
how do you do that?
Just keep talking, I'll play with it here.
Okay. If you are door knocking, like if you drive by a for sale by owner, it's really awesome if you already have folders made up that you can keep in your car that you could just drop off. So inside your folder, you can have safety tips for sale by owners. We have that inside of the toolkit. You can have how to sell your house on your own, right? This is something that you can come up with, Misty, based on your area. Like, what are some things that are beneficial for a seller to know? You kind of want to help them out, but you kind of want to put them into overwhelm, because if they see a whole list of things that they need to have done, it's going to put them into overwhelm, because these people have full-time jobs, most of them. They don't really want to put the effort into selling their house. They think they can just stick a sign in the ground and it'll get done, right? Or like pay for Zillow to list it, or not even pay. I think Zillow does it for free for 3 days or
Yeah.
something like that. And then, so most people assume that if they just put their house up on Zillow or Facebook and put the sign in the yard, it'll go, which sometimes can be true, but they may not know everything else that goes into a transaction. So if you have in a folder your business card, tips for selling your house on your own, safety tips for sale by owners, that really freaks people out too. Any kind of thing. You could use the seller roadmap that's in your toolkit, put that inside the folder. If you have anything else specific to your market center that you use, put that in the folder. And if you just have 5 of them made up, you can keep them in your glove compartment or in your trunk at all times. And then if you drive by a for sale by owner, you can stop, right? And it's as easy as stopping. You probably won't have time to actually go through their house at that point in time anyway, which is a little bit more attractive. I know it sounds backwards, but it's true. So if you're stopping at their house and you just knock on the door and say, hey, I'm just driving by on my way to wherever I'm going. I don't have time to come in and see your house right now, but I'd love to make an appointment with you. Here's a folder, go through this and I'll call you. Or you can even set the appointment right there. You're not bombarding them by asking to get into their house right this second, but you are offering them something of value and you are setting the stage that you're going to be back. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is anybody using a lead generation platform right now to call for sale by owners and expireds?
I don't think so. Most of our agents are newer.
Okay.
Got a couple that have closed a few deals, but most of them are newer, so they don't have that kind of platform yet.
Okay, all right. So you can just pull them. You can go to forsalebywowner.com. You can also go on the MLS
Zillow,
every
yeah.
day and pull the expireds from the day before.
Yep.
And that's a great way to just generate lists to call on. But yeah, so that's a great point that Kristen made, just to be able to just do a drive-by.
So let's say you can't door knock and you aren't able to really do drive-bys all that often because for whatever reason. So there are other ways that you can get face-to-face with prospective sellers. You can do a Facebook Live. So I don't know about in your area, but in our area, each different like suburb has its own community page in Facebook. And so we live in a town called Camillus, and we have what's called the Camillus Community Network. I know like in Cary, North Carolina, they have a Cary community network. And so different areas have different community groups on Facebook. You can go live inside of your business page on Facebook and just say, hey, I want to give you guys some tips for selling your house on your own. And you might say like, maybe it seems weird that a real estate agent is giving you tips on how to get this done by yourself. But in a seller's market, which we know it is, I'm realistic with the fact that maybe you can sell it on your own, and I'm here as your neighborhood expert to help you out. So this immediately puts you like 10 steps ahead of every other agent out there who would never do this, right? So you've got to think outside the box a little bit. Facebook Live gets you in front of people. It just does. So once you're done with your live recording, you can then share it to the community page, and everybody there will watch it. Which is a really cool way to get in front of people without actually calling or door knocking. Another way is to send mailers. So you can send mailers to for sale by owners. You don't have to farm a certain neighborhood and only send mailers to that neighborhood. You can be very specific with only mailing things to for sale by owners and expireds if you want. You have to make sure that you're giving them something of value. So sending them, let's see, what did I do? I sent recipes out right before Thanksgiving, like a brownie recipe. That was effective. I got 3 calls off of that, people just to say like, hey, this recipe was awesome. So I'm like, great. Do you know anyone who wants to sell their house? You know? But it's just getting in front of people so that it's the name recognition, it's the brand recognition. It's something where they're going to keep that recipe because it's delicious, and they're going to file it in their cookbook or put it in a junk drawer, or they're going to put it on their fridge, like wherever they're going to keep it. But it has your name and number on it. So giving them something of value is usually more effective than sending them something that says, hey, I saw your house is for sale, call me. Because that's what every other agent is doing.
Yeah, you want to set yourself apart. So like this time of year, what I like to do as we like approach Easter time in April is, you know, little peeps, those little guys. If you can get a package, like you can go, to a dollar store, order them on Amazon and get packages that just have 2 on them, and attach your business card and then print off something that you tie to it and attach it and just say, have your peeps call my peeps. Right? Like if you do clever things like that, it makes an impression on people. You're giving them something. The anticipation of a gift is one of the greatest, again, subconscious, like feel good things that people are going to affiliate then, whether or not they need an agent right then or they're considering working with an agent. If they get something from Andrew that says, have your peeps call my peeps, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that was so nice, like this guy, you know, did that, whatever. They're gonna affiliate that with a positive emotion. And that's the idea, because people make decisions out of emotion, right? So evoking emotion in these things, these value adds that you're pushing out there and helping them in some way. Prepare your gutters for spring, you know, like a little, you know, how to prepare for the spring to make sure your house, whatever, any kind of value add you can do and drop it at for sale by owner. And then on there, have some statistic about the number of people that list as for sale by owners, which is 76% of people that list as a for sale by owner end up listing with a real estate agent.
And they're losing days on market if they don't call you now, right? So another cool pop-by idea for the spring is little packets of forget-me-not flowers, just the little seeds. I mean, they're so cheap. I think you can get them at Home Depot for like 15 cents per packet or something like that. And you say, when you're ready to list, forget me not, right? And then your name and info. I mean, it's so basic and simple, but then again, add something that tells them they're losing days on market every day that they don't call you.
So now you're educating them and giving them a gift, right? So the education element of this is, again, our responsibility as experts.
So these are Facebook Live, send mailers. We talked about pop-bys. Okay, the number 3, when I say stalk them, please do it appropriately and don't be a creep. I mean, I don't feel like I should disclaim that, but just I'm throwing it out there. Okay, so when I say stalk them, what do I mean? If you've got an expired listing, you know the address of the house. You may not know the name of the person because it might not be in the MLS, and you definitely might not have their phone number. So then it's a matter of Googling. You can use Spokeo, you can use Google White Pages, you can go on Facebook. Facebook and Instagram are the #1 ways to stalk people. I mean, it's really true. I don't know what else to say.
Get to know people or research people.
Research the people.
Oh my God.
Research the people, you find them, and then you can add them as a friend, or you can just send them a direct message that says, I saw that your listing expired, I'd love to come and see your house or talk to you about your experience. You don't have to be like, you definitely should not be a creep, but you should get in front of them. And so if you can't find their information, social media is usually the place to go. And then the other thing is, have reviews on hand. So here's the thing about reviews. If you're a new agent, it's likely that you don't have any real estate reviews yet. However, you can still have reviews. So I could review you and say that you showed up on time for this class and that you're punctual, right? There are people in your life who can observe your behaviors, and they can write you a review, right? So Misty could write you a review that you're punctual, you're driven, you've got what it takes to get the job done. Like anyone from your past history where you've been employed before could give you a review. It doesn't have to be a real estate specific review, but have some reviews on hand so that if you do get in front of a for sale by owner or an expired listing, you can say, this is what sets me apart. This is a part of your value proposition, right? So get some reviews if you don't have any. It's really important that you have raving fans, because if they think you already have raving fans, then they're going to want to become one. And when you do a great job for them, they'll also give you a great review, and you can add them to your inventory.
All right, so here's a couple, just to recap on a few things, you guys, and throw in a couple tips for you to write down, okay? If you are getting on the phones, and I will tell you right now, time is the one thing none of us get back, okay? I say that every day. The best use of your time when you are approaching for sale by owners and expires is to get on the phone. It just is. It's the cheapest, and you're gonna gain the greatest return on your investment. So when you're getting on the phones and making those calls, I tell people to have either, it doesn't matter what it is, but 4 of something. If it's 4 pens or $4 or 4 quarters in a pile on the left-hand side of you as you make a phone call. As you're talking to someone on the phone, they have to say no 4 times in whatever capacity before you're done with that call and you're going to cut it off. People typically don't say yes to an appointment until the 3rd no. So if someone says no, don't just roll over and take it, okay? You want to be actively and not aggressively, but just active in the conversation. So every time they say no, move whatever that item is from the left side of you to the right, so you can keep track of the no's that you're receiving. You get 4 no's, you're done, you move on, and you're making that next call. But that's a great way for you to hold yourself accountable to not giving up on the call and to be aware of what the interaction is and what they're saying
Should
to
we
you.
practice what that sounds like?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll be a seller. We're gonna practice for you guys, okay? So just so you know what it sounds like, because I don't want you to leave this call being like, how am I supposed to ask for no 4 times?
Okay.
Okay.
So, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, is this the owner of 123 Main Street?
Yes, it is.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I am calling about your listing. Is it still fully available?
It is.
It is. Okay, great. I have a few questions. Do you have a minute that I could ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
Great. So I can see here that it's 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms. I'm curious about the big ticket items, the roof, the hot water heater, the furnace, the window. Can you share with me a little bit about the age of those things?
No, I'd prefer not to do that over the phone.
Okay, great. Then I'd love to come and meet you face to face. 15 minutes. I'm going to be on your side of town and actually in your neighborhood, Tuesday at 3 or Thursday at 5. Do either of those times work for you?
Are you a real estate agent?
I am, and I actually work with buyers. And this house came up, and I think it could be a great fit or potentially for some of our buyers. So what I would love to do is come take a look at it, preview it. I like to preview all houses before even considering showing them to any of our clients.
So we're not open to working with a real estate agent right now.
Okay, I can understand that. So this is 3, you guys. We're at 3 no's. I can understand that. I just want to make sure our buyers know the inventory so that we can find a match. You wouldn't be having to necessarily work with me as an agent, but I would love to be able to make sure if this is a good fit for my clients that they're able to get in there and see it.
Are you bringing them with you?
Nope, because I don't want to waste their time. I want to make sure it's a great fit before I actually bring them to the home.
Okay.
Okay. So this is all recorded, so you guys can have that. That was fast. So 3 no's. So the approach that I think is the most successful is telling your clients or explaining that your job is to know the inventory in the market because you have buyers that you're working with, and that's kind of the direction that I think is most successful. It's tricky if you don't have buyers looking for that particular house. You don't want to lie, right? So for me, sometimes if I know that I have buyers in that particular area, then I'm going to say that. If I'm not sure, but it's more of about me knowing the market and knowing what's out there, then I kind of phrase that a little bit differently.
You should never say that to expired listings, that you have buyers looking in their area, because the first thing out of their mouth is, why didn't you bring them to my house when it was listed, right? So you have to be very careful when you're approaching an expired listing to use that script. But that script works wonderfully with for sale by owners.
Yeah, so it works really well. But so I noticed like 3 times she said no. If she said no again, I would say, well, best of luck with you. I'll stay in touch. And if
But
anything
normally
changes.
if you keep the conversation going past 3 resistances or 3 no's, right? eventually they're going to crack a little bit and they'll give you a little bit. And if not, you get right off the phone.
Right.
So
The other thing is typically when you're on the phone, what you end up hearing is when you ask for the big ticket items, they start to share. Like, oh yeah, the roof is 5 years old. The hot water heater is 2. We actually put on a new furnace. And then you're starting to build relationship a little bit here. And because I would have responded with, oh gosh, 5 years old, that's amazing. Why did you choose, why are you moving? I'm surprised that you put so much money into investing into the house and then you're going.
you get to their motivation.
Exactly.
So let's talk about why we got to get right to the problem. We only have a few minutes left, and I can't believe it took this long to get this far so far. But let's talk about getting to the problem. So what are the benefits for them selling their home on their own? There really aren't any, right? They really only want to save money. That's the only reason they're selling on their own. So that makes sense. It's to save money, right? If they're willing, most of the time they will say, and this is true most of the time, they will say that they're willing to pay a buyer's agent. So if you have a buyer, bring them, but they're not willing to pay to list their house. So immediately, if they tell you they're willing to pay a buyer's agent, you need to go in the script that sounds like this. That's so generous of you to offer to pay a buyer's agent, and I appreciate that so much. Do you understand that you're paying someone to advocate against you, right? If they're the buyer's agent, they have their buyer's best intention at heart, not the seller's. So how about the buyer? What are the benefits to the buyer? There are none. You don't know if the seller has filled out the property disclosure form accurately. You don't know what they're lying about. You really don't know if they're filling out the contract correctly. If you have a buyer who wants to purchase a for sale by owner, you have to caution them to make sure that you are there for every single step of the way. Okay. And then let's talk about 4 types of buyers. So when you're talking to a for sale by owner, you want to ask them, how are they pre-qualifying buyers? And explain to them there are 4 types of buyers. There are buyers who are serious and in a hurry. If you get one of those, how are you going to approach them? Are you capable of making sure that you get out of your house and handle all of the paperwork in a timely manner? There are buyers who are serious but who are not in a hurry. How are you going to motivate those buyers without an agent?
And to get them to the closing table, right? Because they could drag their feet.
Then there are investors who usually want a deal, who are going to make a really low offer because they're going to probably flip the house or rent it out. And then there are people who are looky-loos. These people tell you that they love the house. The majority of buyers who go to look at for sale by owners are looky-loos. They just want to see what's out there. So this is like a for sale by owner's nightmare, the looky-loos, right? Because the looky-loos tell them, we love your house, it's beautiful, and then they never get back to them and they never buy the house.
And again, when you focus on time being the one thing none of us get back, they're getting pulled in so many directions by people that aren't qualified, the people just curious, and so we're also saving them that time and headache.
So let's say you get to the table, guys. So you're in the house. Like Sarah said, the kitchen's the soul of the house. You've got to get to the table. So it takes probably 8 conversations. You have to ask for the business on average 8 times before they'll sign, okay? So in order to do this, you always want to go back to the motivation. At this point in time, if you know that the for sale by owner is moving to Florida because they want to be closer to their grandchildren who live in Florida, then you want to say to them, you know what, let's sign the paperwork today. I'll get an open house in on Sunday. The quicker we get this sold, the quicker you can get to your grandkids, right? So it's getting back to their motivation about why are they moving, and then make sure that you're reminding them of the value that you provide. And then get accountable. So I'm going to screen share your locker room toolkit with you so that you can know exactly where to find the tools. But remember that it's not Misty's job to hold you guys accountable, it's your job. So I want you to set some goals before we end this class. How many for sale by owners and expireds are you going to reach out to over the next 7 days? And then identify what are the key activities, and then how will you measure your results? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So core is there obviously for you guys to measure everything, which it's already done for you. You just have to click the button. we completely recommend to be utilizing that on a daily basis. Like, start your day and end your day. Here's where I am today. How far am I from my goals? The end of the day, how much progress did you make towards those goals, right? So it takes 2 minutes to go in and throw your numbers in. And we recommend getting into the habit of doing that on a daily basis. It's
You all have
really
access
important.
to the whole core system, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So here's the toolkit right here. You can see my screen.
Yes.
Inside of the toolkit, down here, it says FSBO and expired. If you click there, there are these are all for FSBOs, okay? All for sale by owners. The for sale by owner in 6 steps is what we just went over with you. The litigation checklist talks about what they need to do to make sure that they're ethically correct and so they don't get sued. FSBO questions to ask realtors. This is something you could put in that folder that I was talking about. Safety tips for sellers. That's something else you could put in that folder. And then some lead gen ideas, which I will see if this pops up quickly. Sometimes it takes a minute. Resume. Okay, so here. So you have access to all of these inside of your toolkit. So use all of these, right? Print them out. Don't forget that they're there because they're very useful. And then the other thing is making sure that when you're making these calls, use the success tracker to enter in your data. So here where it says enter data, I'm sure you all know how to do this, but you can log all of your numbers. Then after you do that, if you do your week in review and just type down here under miscellaneous to Misty, hey, this is what I did this week. I called this for sale by owner. This is how it went. Keep all of your notes right there and then enter it. Then she'll get a little notification up here where this bell is, and she'll know that you sent her message. So I would say make sure that you have goals, number one, that you know the steps to take in order to achieve your goals as far as for sale by owners and expireds, and then that you're checking back in and holding yourself accountable so that Misty can help you out with all of that.
And then lean into us. You guys, you're more than welcome to.
Let
You
me
want
save
to
this. Where are the scripts in here? Scripts.
down here.
Okay. So let me share my screen again. I'm sorry that we're going over, you guys. This is important. So if you log back into your toolkit, down here where it says scripts, right here we have a script booklet for you. It's like pages and pages and pages long. So 38 pages.
Just print it.
Print it if you want to, or you can just read through it and you can sketch down the ones that work for you. The first sections are for sale by owners and expireds. Okay? They're awesome. They're down to earth.
They're modern. They're not, respectfully, KW is amazing, but like bold scripts and scripts from KW, I would never talk to somebody like that. So these are much more modern day. They have a little bit more of a friendly spin on them. They're powerful.
They're basic.
And they work, most importantly. They do work.
So does anyone have questions before we wrap it up? Because I really feel bad when I go over with the class. I know other people have things to do, so.
Everybody good? So Misty, we'll share you have Kristen's, obviously, we'll share our information, our contact information. If you want to set up a group email with everybody that's been here today with our info, and you guys, if you need anything or want to jump on a call for 15 minutes or whatever around this, just reach out and let us know. We're happy to help.
If you have time to hang out right now and just from now until 12:30, open up that script booklet and practice with each other, I really recommend that. I think that's an amazing practice to get into.
It's true.
Well, we appreciate your time and zooming in with us today.
Of
You know,
course.
like I said, this has not been my expertise, and so to hear it from people who've actually used it and made it work is valuable. So we appreciate you being here, and I think hopefully they got a few good things out of it and some good nuggets on what to do and how to do it. And I'll let you know what our results end up.
Awesome, you guys.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon. Thank you all for coming today.
Thank
All right.
you.
Bye.
Bye.